The Blokebusters podcast is a proud member of the Pod Bros Network, where you can find us as well as other excellent podcasts such as Sarcasm City, Worst Millennials, and Late Night Gamers at podbros.com. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy another episode of the Blokebusters podcast.
Tonight's story is somewhat unique and calls for a different kind of introduction.
Who's going on? Today we are canceling the apocalypse!
Wait a minute. You ain't heard nothing yet.
And this is?
Lilu Dallas Multipass.
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
Houston, we have a problem.
Have you tried turning it off and on again?
Gentlemen, you can't fight in here. This is the war room.
Now, where was I?
Welcome to episode 105 of the Blokebusters podcast. I'm Paul.
And I'm Brian.
And today we're going to be talking about Valerian and
the city
of
a thousand planets.
Yes, an interesting title. Well, I'm sure we'll touch on it.
One of the few interesting things.
Yes.
Spoilers ahead.
So, yes, first of all, get right out the top here. If you want to get a hold of us about anything we have said before, anything we say on this, anything we might say, or just whatever, you can find us primarily on Twitter at Blokebusters. We're also on Facebook and Instagram at Blokebusters. We have blokebusters.com, our lovely website there, and you can email us at theblokes@blokebusters.com, and one of us will hopefully get back to you soon.
Yes. And hey, always feel free to at me at bklosterman 82 at G on the Twitters.
On the Twitters.
If you have ire with me or take umbrage, so Paul doesn't have to pass it along. And I'm barely on there anyway, so I probably won't even see it. So
so ignore the last 10 seconds apparently.
No, if you would like to vent to an empty void, go right ahead.
I mean, this is useful as anything else.
And I will see it in 2 months and respond, okay.
Yes, thank you. So yes, there is all of that, and this is Valerian, directed by Luc Besson. And interestingly, the budget for this was given in euros, and
could you convert?
I did, but the weird thing is it gave a budget in euros as gross, and then it gave a budget in dollars as net. But the dollars one was a range, so I basically written down the range, and the euro one kind of falls into this. Anyway, so it is somewhere between 177 and 205 million dollars.
Okay.
Probably. Assuming that they've reported it right, I don't know. And the box office worldwide was $225,874,228 US dollars. So it just made its money back just on budget, and, let alone marketing.
Yeah. And IMDb has wildly different numbers too. So who knows what the hell was going on with this?
I mean, does IMDb have the domestic one there?
It has opening weekend for the US, but worldwide it has 132 million for gross.
Interesting.
And the budget of 177.
Okay. Yeah. So that had on the low end there.
So that has it as a loss.
Yes. Well, I will say that I got these figures from Box Office Mojo. So
and those tend to usually be more reliable, I think.
Yeah, they do have a really good breakdown by country and stuff like that. So I don't know if maybe just IMDb hasn't been updated or something.
But who knows?
So anyway, on top of that, we are going to just say pretty much, I guess, the top three actors at the start, and we will touch on others as we go.
As they become relevant, yeah.
So you got Dane DeHaan as Major Valerian, no last name. You've got Cara Delevingne as Sergeant Laureline, no last name, and Clive Owen as Commander Aaron Fillet, and I didn't remember he had a name at all. So
other than Commander.
Yes, good old Commander. So that might give you a little bit of a hint as to what we might think about at least some of the people in this film. But yeah. So where do you want to start?
I think, as always, we should probably go with opening kind of overall thoughts on the film
Sure.
itself.
Why don't you go first this time?
Okay. I feel like I can be a broken record at times here. Repeated listeners are going, oh God, here we go again. Didn't like it.
Okay. All right.
If I can just put it succinctly, but I won't. Pretty much, I started this on the day we're recording. I started it the evening prior, made it about a half hour in, said, I cannot do this tonight. Woke up, watched this finished up about 8 to 10 o'clock this morning before we recorded here.
Yeah.
And was able to get through it. We'll get into a lot of it later, but this was just rife with issues from the get-go, I thought. Actually, the first 10 or 15 minutes were not bad. Pretty good. And then things just started to fall apart. And the main issue with this is an identity issue with this movie. It did not know what it wanted to be.
Right.
It was all over the place. It pretended to be one thing and then another. And some casting issues that I'll get into. But overall, this is just not a great movie. It's not even a mediocre movie. I would say it's relatively poor, in my opinion. What did you think of it?
Well, when I first watched it, this was about 3 or 4 weeks ago, so I knew everyone was ragging on this film. For whatever reason, everyone was just like, oh my God, this is terrible. Like, he should have stopped at Fifth Element. It sounds like whatever. So I was like, okay, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to give it a chance. I know at the very least, the visuals should be good. They should be able
from a highly visual director.
Yeah, they should be able to keep my interest. And so I sat down and I was watching it, and I will say I will champion most of the visuals in this film. They used technologies they had very well, and I think it looks good. I don't think there's much else to it, unfortunately. And one of my biggest gripes with the film in general is, name me, other than the 3 we just said, without looking at IMDb, the names of any other character in this film.
The characters, well, I can name the characters.
Okay.
Just because I did see it like an hour ago.
I was saying, I genuinely cannot remember the names of these people without having to look
just
them up.
Rihanna's character's coming to mind, which we were going to get into her. We'll talk about her more later, but I just remember Bubble. On that and. And I'm actually just blanking on the other character that's associated with her's name right now, but that we'll talk more about him. But good point. Immediately forgettable.
Yeah,
if you even bothered to hear them, or
I came away from this film going, well, I didn't out and out hate it as much as some people that I've heard them talking about it, but. Yeah, I have very little feeling for any of the characters in this film, which is a real shame. Because at least, say, Fifth Element, you could see they managed to flesh out the characters enough that you can remember like Corbin Dallas, you can remember Lilu, obviously. Ruby Rod, I mean, there was no equivalent of Ruby Rod in this film. There's nothing jumping
out. There never will be, and I don't think, it's fair to expect a Ruby Rod. But
yeah, there are no standout characters in this film, including Valerian, who is in the title of the film. So. And
Laureline, who did not get a name in this film, even though the French comics that this film is based on was called Valerian and Laureline.
Yeah.
And this got changed to Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets. So she got bumped to third billing after 1,000 planets.
This will be an interesting one.
So I'm kind of relieved to see that you're somewhat on the same page as me.
Yeah.
And I didn't even, when this movie was out, I didn't even... Well, let me say, when I first saw the trailers, I was initially intrigued and like, ooh, Luc Besson. I know, and I knew this was a passion project of his for pretty much his entire life. Like, he wanted to get this thing made.
Yeah, I believe he wrote the initial script when he was 16. So.
Yeah, and that's so upsetting to know that this was his passion project. I'm like, couldn't the Fifth Element been your passion project? Shit, I would have taken Lucy as your passion project. Which, hey, Haters of Lucy, that is a fun-ass movie.
Well, I would say, just doing a little bit of research for this, I found when Luc Besson went to the Valerian illustrator to work on The Fifth Element, because he liked his work so much, his response was, why are you doing this shitty film? Why don't you do Valerian?
Why don't you do this shitty film? This much shittier.
Yeah, so,
as for Fifth Element is revolutionary and fantastic.
Yeah. And of course the reason why he didn't do it then is precisely because of the amount of CG that would have been required and all of that. So there's no way it would have looked the way he wanted it to look. Now, my question is, what if that technology had existed then? So we'd have got this film made by Luc Besson at the time he was making The Fifth Element. So would it have been better with younger Luc Besson rather than this one?
That's tough to say. But it all depends, because a lot of my issues with the movie stems from the casting.
Yeah.
So I don't know who would have been cast at that time.
I mean, could you imagine if they'd just gone with the same cast? So Bruce Willis as Valerian and Mila Jovovich as Laura.
No. No. The blasphemy, sir. No. We're not going there.
No.
My mind can't go there. It won't. It refuses. But yeah, I'm not a fan of just reading verbatim IMDb trivia. But one of the things that stood out to me was 2,734 special effects in this movie, or shots, 188 in The Fifth Element.
All right.
So, like a factor of 8? Yeah. What is that? Well, yeah, a lot. Yeah, so, I mean, the way he wanted this to look. But immediate comparisons could be made to Avatar, especially with the Pearl people.
Very much so.
Yeah, in their world. Should we try to, I guess, get a little bit about what's going on in this movie for people unfamiliar?
Sure.
If we can try to stem together a plot.
Yeah, I mean, so let's see. Without
looking, no peeking.
No peeking. I'll just quickly shift the window there. There we go. Okay. So,
what is your summary of this movie?
So my summary of this film,
or synopsis,
is that there's a giant, effectively space station, just massive, and it's got, over the years, so many aliens have come to this, and it's just become this giant thing of all the worlds across the galaxy and possibly the universe have come together and made just kind of like a central city.
Yeah.
And so something has happened, and the people in charge are like, oh, we need to send someone to go and fix this because this isn't right. And so they send Valerian because he's available, I guess. And at the same time, but not at the same time, some other aliens were killed. Anyway, back to the plot.
You're doing a bang-up job, by the way, so far.
And so the same aliens that were all killed come to get this one little creature, but they don't. So Valerian goes after them, and then Laureline goes after him, and then there's a big showdown. And I've butchered it entirely, but not a huge amount more than the film manages to. Because one of my biggest notes is the plot of this film turns up at the beginning. Mm-hmm. Then it goes on holiday.
No, thank you. And
then they come back at the end. What the hell?
So we get in the prologue, like you're saying, this space station Alpha that has become so massive, okay, poor planning, okay, we're going to be sucked into Earth's gravitational pull.
Yeah, I assume it's supposed to have started as the International Space Station.
I would assume.
That seems to be what they were going for.
Yeah.
If not the ISS, then ISS.
Yeah, because don't you still need the ISS in orbit to conduct experiments and all this shit they're doing? But yeah, so poor planning on their part. That, oh shit, we got too massive. We got to boot scoot out of here and go hundreds of millions of light years away, or however far they said they went. I don't care. I don't remember. Or reverse that. And so anyway, we meet these Pearl people who look kind of like pale Avatar people, minus the tails.
Yeah, effectively Avatar by the sea.
Yes,
what we get.
exactly. Yes.
And I will say I haven't read the books, so I don't know if they are a truthful adaptation from the books, or the graphic novels, let's say.
But yeah, essentially we see a typical ideal day here on the planet Mole, or Mule?
Well,
not Mole. I think it's Mule.
Yeah. I'm
Once again, don't care.
This MUL, and that's about it.
Yeah. And then, for anyone watching an alien movie in the last 10 years, a squid-shaped ship appears, which means run.
Yes.
if you're using a squid-shaped design, they aren't ALF or they aren't ET. No, they aren't there for friendly things going on. But so essentially, mole destroyed. Bye planet. And then, like you said, we don't really hear mention of the plot. We just get 45 minutes of canned, forced, witty, in quotes, banter between Valerian and Lorelai.
Yep.
And then 50-minute mark, we get mention of this dark force by Commander.
Yes, by Mr. Commander.
50 minutes in, I believe, is when he mentions, okay, we got to do something about this.
Yeah.
So what have we been doing other than that? Yeah, just this. Let's look at all these aliens.
Yeah, and the stupidest thing as well is with the setup, I don't fully get what they've done and maybe I completely missed it. You might be able to answer this. So in this, there's this center that appears to be growing, which the commander says is irradiated. Everything within it dies. They've sent some guys down, and they've not come back. So assume dead. And nothing within this field can be read. What actually did happen to the group that went down? Because we realize at the end, and obviously this is a spoiler cast, we do talk about everything, that there is no radiation, and it's just some of these alien people that I guess just knock you out for a little while. Like, that seems to be what they mostly do, but you don't see the people that were sent down at all. They're just gone. So
yes,
okay.
I agree.
There's no real follow up to most of the things that happen in this film.
There are not. No. I want to get more into that later. Also, screw this movie for using a David Bowie song again. Space Oddity, which stop using in your space movies, people. We get it. Ground Control to Major Tom. Yeah, it's perfect for your space movie.
Yeah.
The Martian killed it. Okay? The Martian was the last movie that was allowed to use it. Find another song. David Bowie, I'm pretty sure, would not be happy with that. His music was probably used in this.
I don't know. He might have asked to be in it. He likes
some weird stuff, so who knows? Well, add him in anything, and yes, this would have been better by times 1,000. But even that intro of just the handshakes over and over and over in the space station, I'm like, that could have even been cut down by a minute or two.
That is what I was thinking. Like they did a good job of being like, oh well, these are obviously the astronauts we know, and then it builds into first alien contact, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh,
13th, 87th, 435th.
Yeah, you can
10,432nd.
Yeah, you can probably do. I would have done, if it was my choice, I would have done 3, 4 at the most, and each time you see the ship outside, bit bigger. Next thing comes along, handshake. Bigger. Next thing comes along, handshake, and then fade into the rest of the film. You don't need to keep showing it.
Yeah, there's so many scenes, and that was just, like I said, early indicator that I was not going to be on board for this. So many scenes that were robust. The fat could have been trimmed way down. And I mean, this has a runtime of 2 hours 17, I believe, and this should have probably clocked in at about an hour 50. I think is feasible. Hour 45.
That feels more like it.
Yeah, because that's a lot to get through, especially when you're starting off a franchise or just a new property.
Yeah,
where it's not a Star Wars or a Star Trek or something that people are intimately familiar with. where it's not a Marvel film. And yes, we still want original content, and that's not the lesson of this movie, is that we don't want original content. We just want it cast correctly, and we want the right people working on it. Not to say that Luc Besson wasn't the right person, but the pieces together did not work. At all.
Yeah, it was kind of weird, because I hadn't really thought too much about it, but you kind of hit the nail on the head there with, like, this film felt like you should already be familiar with it, at which point you would cut out the first, like, 10 minutes and then just have it be the established world. So this kind of feels like the second in a trilogy type thing, or the second of a two parts. So, yeah, maybe Luc Besson was too familiar with the material, and he couldn't see this from the point of view of someone that knows nothing about it. I don't know. It's like I said, the number one thing for me was this was completely miscast. I don't know who would have been better, but Valerian as our protagonist is abysmal. He is an asshole. He's obnoxious. He's rude. A lot of things that Laureline says about him, but worse. He conceited, just can't. There's very little humanity that you feel in him. I don't feel like, even though he's supposed to be this kind of Han Solo badass guy, you're not Han Solo. No. Han Solo had the charm, he had the wit, and he could be a bit of a dick, and you still liked him, because there was still a good person in there that you knew would have your back. Well, that's the thing, like, a bit of a dick.
Not a complete reprehensible asshole. Not a sexist monster piece of shit when he's expects his female partner to just... They were not even dating at this point, right? They were just partners, and he proposes to her. You're not going to do better than me or some bullshit. Fuck you, dude.
Well, the stupidest thing I found was the fact that Laureline is able to just call the ship Alex, right? The ship was Alex, I think. Something like that.
Something like that. Alex.
So she called out and just said, like, show me the wall or whatever it is. And the ship is automatically primed at that point to display photos of every single woman this guy has ever slept with. Why would you have that? I can't think of any... It's his
modern, black book or whatever. So if he needs, if he's in that part of the galaxy, he needs a booty call.
I suppose, but he feels to me like someone that once he's done with someone, he's done.
They're his trophy, or they're, his trophies.
Yeah, it's just kind of...
digital trophies,
Yeah. And the thing
Which, yes, he's disgusting.
Yeah. Well, and that's another thing. He says at the end, I only want your picture on my... whatever the hell it's called. But at no point does he tell the ship to erase the rest of them.
So portfolio, profile, whatever. I saw this movie less than 90 minutes ago. That's how forgettable everything is.
I don't know. This,
and then he also looks like he's strung out on heroin the whole movie. He's got these sunken eyes. Yeah. He's got this deadpan, monotone delivery on everything.
Absolutely that drove me everything
crazy. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about this mission. Do you want to marry me? I mean, Rocky had more intonation in his voice, and that's saying something.
Well, Rocky even raised his voice. Is there any point of this film where Valerian isn't just at normal speaking level?
Was there one moment he yelled or something? No, that was, I think, the general that was left in charge that went, "I'm acting now." But I don't know if Valerian ever.
I think the loudest thing he ever does in the film is he punches somewhat half-heartedly the commander. He just kind of goes, just come over here, whack.
But even tense or moments that are supposed to be tense, he's just run, just run.
Yeah.
And if you're that excited about it, how excited am I supposed to be about what's happening on screen? It's just a complete failure, and I'm not even going to fault Cara Delevingne I thought she was completely serviceable and fine. My main issues were with him and Clive Owen, who just did not need to be in this movie. Yeah. You could have gotten anyone for this one-dimensional commander who we find out is... Were we supposed to be shocked when the reveal was that, oh my god, he was the one that blew up the planet? No way! Who's that guy that's being blocked by the camera, half the time? And we can't see, but he's dressed exactly like the commander, but I can't see his face. I wonder if it is the commander? Yeah.
Well, that's the biggest problem when it comes to, and not just this film, but, obviously primarily this film, but when it comes to something like that, where you have a character that's been introduced who's quite high up, and then you get your flashback of, oh, this horrible thing happened. Someone destroyed our world. And it's like, oh, someone did they? So someone managed to kill everyone. Okay, I wonder if we know this someone. And I don't know how to fix it. Obviously, I can yell like, this is stupid. I personally do not have a fix at this present time for that cliche, for that way of storytelling. But I would much rather it turn out to have been he was acting under the orders of his superior. He was the one that pressed the button, but he was ordered to, or something like that. And he's just come around to this way of thinking. And maybe it's set up that he goes on trial and he's going to be, something like that. So not just be, oh, it's him. Yeah, okay. Like you said, no surprise. No one would have been surprised. Even people that have never seen these films before could not have been surprised at that.
Yeah, and you can't say that's not what they were going for, because it was shot that way. It was shot that it was supposed to be a big reveal.
Yeah.
So what? No. And that's why, like I said, casting. I've hit the casting hard, but the other thing is, like I said, is the film's identity. It kind of toggles between this fantastical sci-fi world, which I think a lot of people are here for. That's a lot of people's appeal, and probably why they went to see this, was this fantasy sci-fi world. Lots of cool shit will happen. It's going to look great. But then this kind of campy comedy quality, but they forgot the jokes.
Yeah.
They have
still campy.
Yeah.
No comedy.
And even that they didn't do well. But they had things that were like the rhythm of jokes, but they weren't. No. There was no punchline. I can't even. There was a major one. It wasn't even like, I'm forgetting even the exact line. It was in the trailer, but it's something, something adjacent would be like, now would be a good time to leave, or something. So things like that are just have the rhythm of a joke, but there's nothing there. There are these throwaway lines that we've seen in the script 100 times before. Yeah. And if they had just embraced, like I can't speak to the comics, so I don't know how well you're trying to service that, but I would have rather seen you just embrace the campiness and be something like Starship Troopers, right? Where you just embrace the absurdity and have some good have some good comedy writers on, or working on the script as well.
Have Jeremy Irons be the commander.
Sure.
Really put the bullseye right on his head there.
Or embrace the fantastical elements and really kind of delve into that and make us feel something for one of these hundreds of species that you show us. Yeah. You just can't jump from species to species and play some sentimental music as one of them dies and expect us to give a shit. Yeah. Which is what they did multiple times. Mm-hmm. Even in the opening, like, I'm sorry, I don't know you, Lu Lee or Luhan or whatever her name was. He already forgot her. Yeah. That gets blown up on Pearl or yeah. Mm-hmm. But just, it was all over the place. And then, like I said, so long. Oh my god, so long. We need to talk about the converter though. The hedgehog converter. Yeah. Which
was it a converter or was it? It was basically, it was a.
That's what they kept calling it, a converter. They called it a converter multiple times, but
although it doesn't convert anything.
It
at no point does it convert. It just multiplies.
So it's a misnamed hedgehog. But if you're going to supposedly have moments of comedy, aren't you going to comment about the animal that eats something and then shits out 1,000 of it?
Yeah,
you think there'd be a comment on that?
Yeah,
Nothing. They all act like that's perfectly normal. Here, let's just feed this thing a fish tank marble, which they love these fish tank marbles. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Apparently they're pretty valuable. But okay, eats it, and then they hold it over a well, and it just like violently shits out 1,000 of these things. And like, cool. I think that's kind of animal abuse, but
yeah, it's interesting because. Clearly,
did anyone ask the converter if he wants to convert or multiply?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. The creature itself doesn't appear to, except maybe once, shy away from eating the thing it's given, and then it looks severely uncomfortable when all the stuff is coming out of it. But it doesn't seem to care before or after that it's done this. So maybe that's just...
well, you can give a dog chocolate, but it shouldn't have it. Like, they're going to eat the chocolate up. But they're a dog. They don't know better.
Well, the thing about the alien race, they say that like they harvest all of these things, and I don't even really remember what they use them for. But they harvest all of these pearls and all of this stuff from the sea, and several times a year they use this converter that isn't a converter to put more of it back into the sea. They seem to be missing one key thing, which is have the converter keep eating the pearls. You don't need to go fishing anymore. You're going fishing for the very thing you're having it put back into the ocean. Like, just stop fishing. Keep leaving them in there. And just every time you run out, here's a couple. There you go, we're sorted.
It's like almost as bad a business plan as the underpants gnomes. It's
Yeah.
Make pearls, profit. No, you can just keep making the pearls.
Yeah. I don't get it. Like, maybe, again, in the graphic novels or whatever, maybe there is something that explains the act of them fishing changes something, and so that helps whatever. But in this film, it is literally, we take pearls from the ocean, every now and again we give some back. And it's like, there's no need for that step if you have a creature that can replicate anything it eats. Like, you
or is it just that one thing? Is it just the fish tank marbles?
I think that's it. I think all they fish for are these things. I mean, maybe, they probably do fish for something to eat. So, like, but they don't put fish back in the ocean. They just put these marbles back in. So it's like, I don't get it.
So like, I don't know if it's. I mean, it's essentially a 3D printer, not a.
Pretty much.
You just hit 1,000 copies on and press enter. Yeah,
it just does it a lot shorter
and then
time.
it acts like it just ate Chipotle for a month solid. Poor old guy. I know. This is random and out of nowhere, but did you think the uniforms on Alpha by the military, or whatever you want to call it, looked a little Nazi-esque?
A little bit.
It struck me hard. Like, they had the epaulets or whatever, and then like the collars and the positioning of the stars. I'm like, and then it kind of... Then with the commander kind of wiping out an entire planet, committing mass genocide, I'm like, I don't know if this was intentional or not, but probably never a good idea to make anyone look like a Nazi unless you're doing Schindler's List.
Yes. It is an interesting parallel there, because, I mean, obviously he's the bad guy, so it's like, this equals wrong, and you could say that is like, Nazis did it wrong. This guy did it
I think I'm giving it too much credit, though. I think I think it was just poor costume design, if I know this movie.
Maybe they had some leftover Nazi uniform. They're like, let's just give it a paint job, stick some extra patches
put a little army
on.
green, it's yikes. And I mean, he calls them savages multiple times. What were you gonna say, savages? All right, so I would like to go with another major gripe that I had in this, which is the amount The sheer absurd amount and just abundance of Deus Ex Machina plot devices in this film. How many times were we introduced to an invention, a species, a whatever, that just got them out of a situation, never used again, never mentioned again? I will bring up a few. We have the...
Mention them now.
We will have the interdimensional arm box thing, and feel free to return to that anytime you want. We have the gun that fires heavy ball bearings. Apparently, this is the only purpose of this gun, is to fire heavy ball bearings onto an arm box interdimensional thing, so that an arm box interdimensional thing cannot be picked up by the person wearing the arm box interdimensional thing. So that's a fun gun to have for that specific situation. Guard Tower Warging. Warging for my Game of Thrones fans, when you can project yourself into another person's body. So you know what I mean by that now, when the one guy takes over the guard tower alien, which I did think was a cool concept. It was a cool concept, but once again, used once, never used again. We have the spider bot that frees Valerian from the mole goo. So that seemed very handy to have in that moment. Never used again. We have Valerian following the commander, or the ship that the commander's been abducted on. And then it breaks apart into these other ships that are shaped like jacks or whatever. And he's flying their big ship. I don't even know, does it have a name? Or Alex or whatever whatever the hell you want to call it. The giant ship doing this sideways Millennium Falcon bullshit. And saw that before. So you know what would be better? The Skyjet. What the fuck is the Skyjet? Oh, that's handy to have. It's a really small personal ship I can fly around in tighter spaces. Just what this situation calls for.
And only one of them. They seem to only have one.
Yes. Well, Lorelai does say later, like, she can get in her Skyjet or something like that, I believe.
But I assumed that was a piss take.
Okay. I don't know. We have the jellyfish. That is a Valerian GPS locator. Essentially. A jellyfish. Sure.
Yeah, because why not?
Why not? We have an unidentified blue tube that resurrects Valerian. Okay.
Yeah.
Because she finds Valerian. Here's this blue goo. You're alive now. And that's as many. I know there's probably 5 to 10 more. I'm sure this stuck out to you as well.
Right, yeah. It was...
That is just poor script writing.
Yeah.
If you're using that many plot devices to get you out of situations you've poorly written yourself into, that is not a good thing.
Yeah, and the other problem would be, okay, so let's say we introduce them somehow at the very beginning of the film so that we can use them. Let's say 75% of them are somehow introduced. That's a shitload of smoking guns that have got to be lying around so that Chekhov can pick it up later.
Exactly.
It's like, I do think that, and as much as I don't want something to turn into... Like, Doctor Who has his sonic screwdriver. The Doctor in Doctor Who has his sonic screwdriver. And it can do quite a lot of things. It can basically do whatever the script calls for because they need to have the Doctor being able to do something. But that has been part of the show for so long, it basically gets a pass. Yeah. It's like, we'll just have this at the door for so long, and then it'll be able to unlock it. And it's like, sure, okay. Yeah. But if in Valerian there were just like 2 things, and they were multi-tools, omni-tools, however you want to call them, and they were able to do several things, that might have been more acceptable than we've got basically Batman utility belt of... Okay, so this is my shark repellent, so we'll use this. This is my revive someone that's possibly dead fluid. Like, so it's just...
This is my make someone look like they're dead, but they're not really dead spray. Yeah.
And you mentioned, so the Spider-Bot cuts him out of that fluid stuff, which I guess he assumed what that fluid would be and that thing would work. And we see that they aren't really able to breathe while under them. And he doesn't think to start cutting anyone else out other than Valerian.
Exactly.
Did everyone else just suffocate?
He is a selfish asshole. He does not care. And like, at least in a Bond film, which I am not a huge fan of Bond films, like, we know, okay, we see these devices in the first 20 minutes, and we know if we're being shown them, they are going to be used later. Yes, they are Chekhov's pen dart, or whatever, yes. But these just pop up when needed.
Yeah.
We see no mention of them until the script calls for it, and then they are thrown away.
Well,
and I really resent that.
Well, and that gun that they have that fires platforms that they can they platform themselves along. At the very least, I'm fairly certain when he does that, there's one point where he does it and he ends up throwing it away because it doesn't seem to be working anymore. Like, all right, that kind of makes sense. Okay, now we can't use it for the rest of the film. At least that's got a built-in explanation for why you don't see it anymore. Yeah. But everything else really is just that stupid. And it's like, does this box that they have, does it only work in this marketplace? Is it only tuned to this one dimension? Like, and other question, if it's a different dimension, like, how did they even set this thing up in the first place? Like, how
reasons
much had to have gone into this thing?
Reasons is how they set it up.
Yes, I suppose.
Duh.
Yeah,
I know. With their DNA codes, Paul. Come on, don't you know your DNA codes?
I suppose. I mean, maybe the Doctor helped him out with this one.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think that is one of the biggest problems with this film, is that there are so many questions that it asks, but it doesn't give you any of the answers. It's like, hey, wouldn't this be cool? What about this? Wouldn't this be cool? It's like, no, go back, hang on. This would be cool, but where'd it come from?
Need it? Or, maybe save it for the next movie, or not try to cram so much in this one?
Yeah. Okay, so obviously casting's your biggest issue with this film. I do want to know, do you have any idea who you would cast as Valerian if it wasn't for
I
this
was
guy?
trying to think of that, and I'm like, I think an easy direction to go, and I wouldn't want to go there, is one of the Chris's, which they have their hands full anyway, with Marvel and DC. But I could see Joseph Gordon-Levitt possibly.
Maybe. I think he's a little too charming.
I don't know. Hey, Timothée Chalamet can do anything right now, so Timothée Chalamet.
Alright.
I don't know. I mean, I could even go like, I how true to the comics you want to be. Like, things have been whitewashed enough. Why not put like someone like Donald Glover in there, or like, he's gonna probably be the best thing of Solo. So this could have been his intro into the sci-fi world.
Or maybe made them just a little older. So they've been doing it for so long now, and that would give him a reason to specifically be courting Lorelai as well, as now he wants to settle down. But because he's been doing this for so long, nobody wants to settle down with him. So
because he's terrible. He is terrible, and bad on you, Lorelai, for shacking up with this asshole just because you were there and he finds you attractive, and will you marry me? You can do better than me.
It really does kind of feel like, and it might just be like this character's been around for so long now, but it took him this long to make it that we've seen it done in other films. It really does feel like he is the Kirk character from the recent Star Trek reboots, specifically the first one. Obviously, he's well known for sleeping through the entire campus, so that again. So
it doesn't work for this actor. Like, no, I don't buy him as this Lothario. I buy him in a shack shooting up heroin and imagining that he's a lady killer. In one of his drug-filled fantasies.
Hey, that would be one hell of a twist at the end.
Chicken platter. Yeah, it's all a heroin binge fantasy. I think we solved it. Now I love this movie. All right, cool. I found a way. What did you think? Speaking of like attempts of humor, what did you think of the? I'll probably butcher this pronunciation. The Dogan Dagiuses. The three information sellers.
Yes. Alright. So, yes. My feelings on them would have been better if they weren't in it.
Yes.
I get it. The one line that they had in the film basically saying that all the information is split up between the three of them, so without the three of them together, you're not able to get the information from them. Okay, I guess that kind of makes sense. But they're just annoying. They're not...
I wrote exhausting. Yes. You know what? Like, Luc Besson was like, you know what everyone loved in the Star Wars prequels was Jar Jar Binks. What if we had 3 of them?
Yes. But
3 are better than 1 Jar Jar.
But here's the kicker.
Jar Jar.
Here's the kicker, though. They're short.
Yeah, but don't get that. But long noses. Are you with me? And they're going to finish each other's sandwiches. Yes.
Yeah. It was one of those things that I fully understood why that character existed.
But moments like that, we stepped into like a children's movie.
Yeah. And then
barely then. And most kids now are sophisticated enough to say that's not really that funny.
No. Well, that's the thing. I never found them funny. Period. Were they supposed to be?
I got the impression that they were supposed to be somewhat comical. Like that, I mean, their appearance alone, and then way they delivered the information, and okay, yes, we'll do it for this price because you got a gun in our face. Oh yeah, we accept this as a good deal right now. And
yeah, it seemed as though the only reason for being was for you to enjoy watching them get shot, and it's like. I understand.
I did enjoy that. Yeah. We're looking for things to enjoy.
I think it was nice to watch them get shot, but it was annoying to have to listen to them for so long before you got it. So I feel like maybe what should have happened is they existed as characters and maybe they popped up once before for like a minute, which is what they did right at the first time you saw them. And then I feel like they should have popped up right at the end. Not, here they are, 20 minutes, like, oh yeah, we're back. 20 minutes, like, oh yeah, they're kind of important here. 20 minutes, like, oh, now they're delivering information to the captain or whatever. So it's like, just have beginning and have end, so you've had time to forget them. Like, yeah. Maybe have them turn up right in the middle again, so that they tell Lorelai where she needs to go, but they don't take her there. She goes and she intimidates the captain to taking him out or something. Like, so you don't have to deal with them.
Yeah, it was just an overly... Yeah, we already had so many characters in this movie, and let's throw in 3 more that no one's going to care about. Really don't need... The plot doesn't really require them to be there. Like you said, we could have other characters facilitate what they did.
Yeah.
So much consolidation could have been taking place with these characters, where, like, just extraneous rules, just not inventions and other things thrown away, but characters thrown away, just used once, and... it was so frustrating. But speaking of characters we see kind of once and don't see again, Ethan Hawke is in this fucking movie.
Yes, he is.
Who is he? Pimp Jimmy or something? Or
yeah,
Jolly the pimp. Yeah. So good for him for having some fun, you know, in a role, and because it was kind of fun, I guess, a little bit. If I'm really throwing this movie a bone, but I said he was kind of dressed up as Cowboy George, but yeah, sorry, I need Honor's cricket sound effects there. But yeah. Other than him having fun and Rihanna apparently being in this movie,
I suppose.
What was the point of that scene? That was like a 15-minute scene that could have been completely cut for the most part.
And the only thing
it could have been a 2-minute scene.
The only thing I can think of is they could have had. Because obviously he wants
he needs Bubble to infiltrate the other weird alien base thing that they get into.
Yeah,
that's the only reason he needs Bubble.
We need Bubble Ex Machina to help him with that. But the only thing I could think of that would have made the film a little better, just in terms of character development, is he sits down and he's subjected to this basically psychic pole dancing routine, and he realizes during the routine that he really loves Lorelai. This doesn't do anything for him. That's not what we get. He clearly enjoys it. Doesn't mind it in the slightest.
No, he does not.
And obviously he's upset that Bubble ends up dying, but seems really upset that Bubble ends up dying. A little more so than just someone that possibly helped you out there.
I think he was looking to expand his portfolio or profile or whatever they called it. Yeah.
So it's like, you had an option of this scene, which to me a little bit felt like a studio note of, hey, we can get someone pretty on screen for a while. Let's do that, because we have everyone else in just spacesuits and stuff, so that's not pretty. Let's get a pretty person up here. Yeah. But yeah, it was
not to mention that we had like a male gaze ass shot of Loreline in like the first 5 minutes of the movie, but but yes, let's get Rihanna on a pole.
Well, that's the thing. She could then go straight into the power suit, and like, all the pretty's gone.
And yes, but she said, when was it Herbie Hancock? Who I can't believe we didn't mention Herbie Hancock is also in this movie.
Yes, because why not?
Tells her, yes, why not? Let's have a famous composer be an old commander or whatever. But yeah, he tells her to like cover up or wear something more appropriate. What she wears is a transparent cover-up over her, essentially, like, she changed out of her black bikini into, like, a white bikini.
Yes.
So, yes, covered up there.
And not to put a hole in any of this, but what they're effectively doing is they're going undercover as going on holiday on a place that's incredibly hot and sandy. How is what she's wearing not appropriate for where they're going?
I'm not sure it wasn't going that route, but okay.
Well, no,
sure.
but still, I'm saying even within the realm of the thing, it makes no sense on top of everything else. So
sure, let's add one more, one more error or fault here.
And again, bear in mind, I didn't hate this film, but there's a lot of things wrong with it.
Oh, man, I don't know how you didn't.
Visuals, very visual.
Sure. I know we're wrapping up here, but just a couple last things I wanted to mention, and if you did too. But
I think we've covered most of
wrap it. But I did want to know that, like this movie, 2 hours 17 minutes, we get 3/4 through the movie or 4/5, whatever, we are shown the prologue again.
Yep.
As why? That is a huge mistake in script writing. Why are you showing the audience something they've seen before, just to tell another character that wasn't there? We were there. We don't need to see it, and you show it shot for shot, and you actually extend those shots and make us sit through that again, and make us sit through that explosion again.
Yeah.
And that perfect little day on Mole or Mule or whatever the hell it was called. Why are you making us do that? And then an hour and 45 minutes, and I had to pause it. Like, I paused this many times. I will let you know. Like, oh my God, how much left? 40 minutes? Oh my God. 30 minutes? Oh my God. 25 minutes? But an hour and 45 minutes into this thing, we're still getting heavy amounts of exposition.
Yeah.
Heavy. Like, we get what the Mule people, whatever, we're doing, Pearl people, what they've been up to in the intervening time since.
Yeah.
That so could have been handled differently. Just in a few lines.
Yeah.
Like,
they could have
we survived on blah blah blah, like this long drawn out scene, and then like I was over it at that point. And then we start with like the 360 shots, multiple 360 spinning camera moves, which I just am never here for. No. I hate it. I hate that camera trick. We get it like in that battle scene, and then we get it with their like love talk, Loreline, and shortly after that, when she's like, "Oh, you don't even know, like love is the most powerful force in the universe," and all that. I was just, my eyes had rolled out of my head, and I could not watch anymore. But and then just that gross making out at the end of like. Barf. Yeah, I will show Paul my barf with a barf emoji.
Yes.
Yes.
And not even a good John Candy barf. No, this is vomit all over the screen.
No, not your own best friend. This gross. Loreline, you could have done so much better. And Luc Besson, you could have done so much better. Any parting words, thoughts on Valerian in the city of 1,000 shitholes?
Like I said, I didn't outright hate this film. I was able to enjoy just watching it, but yeah, like we've gone over so many reasons why this should have been so much better, and this is like, more than anything else that we've reviewed. This is something that I want to hear other people's thoughts on, just because I want to know if they have their own thoughts on what could have made it better, or if they liked it. I mean, if you really liked it, genuinely get a hold of us. Like, we can do a follow-up to this. We can have you on. We can...
Yes, we'll, this can be your film spotlight.
do a point-counterpoint, you know? But
we'll do a town hall on it.
Yeah, I think general feelings overall appear to be just don't watch it if you
promising.
haven't.
So much promise that never delivered.
Yeah, it's just a little sad. I am still willing to watch the next thing that Luc Besson does, but that might be the decider for me. Like, if it's another bad film, I might just be done with Luc Besson.
Yeah, that's why. Because I have Neil Blomkamp. He's on notice for me.
Yeah,
he's got one more try. Although apparently Chappie has enjoyed a resurgence. Some people are really liking that now, but
interesting.
I haven't gone back to rewatch that, and don't think I would. But
I don't.
But yeah, he's got one more before I kind of write him off for a while. But yeah, Luc Besson, I'm always going to be here for the visuals. I'll still check it out.
Yeah.
The Fifth Element gets you a lot of credit.
Yes, it does.
So
it really does.
I will be returning to him. Yes. All right. Any other points of order?
No, I think that's it.
All right.
The only thing I will add here is our social media stuff again. So we're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and Vero at Blokebusters. Just search for us. We're on there.
Just search us. Yep.
It's blokebusters.com if you want to have a look at our lovely little website. If you go to podbros.com as well, we're on there, as well as so many other great shows. You can email us at theblokes@blokebusters.com, because, hey, I'm fed up of saying the full Gmail one that we had. So there you go. You got that one. It's nice and succinct. And I think with all of that now having been said, I'm Paul.
And I'm Brian.
And I'll see you next time.
Bye.
In case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Hang on a minute, lads. I've got a great idea.
Louis, I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.
Hi there, Paul here with a quick theatre etiquette lesson for you. Did you know that opening a bag of candy can take less than 5 seconds?